Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to focus on an aspect of narcissistic abuse that I really don't think that most survivors are focusing on adequately, okay? Because a lot of times when we've experienced narcissistic abuse, it's very easy for us to focus on external things, the narcissist and the new supply, the financial devastations that we've gone through with the narcissist, the tangible things that we're looking at, post discard. A lot of times survivors are really focused on that. But in this video, I definitely want to suggest that we start looking at another aspect of this situation. And I'm going to ask you a question right now. Out of everything that has hurt you in your dealings with a narcissist, what has hurt you the most? What part of you has been hurt the most? For most people, I want to say all survivors, really. If you really think about that, you would probably say your spirit. Your spirit has been hurt the most out of everything that has happened between you and the narcissist. And why would your spirit be hurt the most out of everything between you and the narcissist? Because the narcissist is a spiritual vampire. They're spiritual vampires. And what is a spiritual vampire? That is an entity, a person basically with a demonic spirits inside of them that come into your life because of their inadequate energy that they have inside of them. They want to suck the life out of you to make themselves stronger. They want to latch on to you and suck your energy out of you so that they could feel stronger. But they're sucking out of you and they're not putting anything nourishing into you. So, of course, you're going to feel drained. You're going to feel fatigued. You're going to feel a loss of energy. You probably slip into a depression. You may have sleeping disorder. You may have mental confusion eventually, and then physical illness. These are all signs that you have been affected by a spiritual vampire. So when we're dealing with this aspect of narcissistic abuse, we have to keep in mind that this is our spirit. So if we're dealing with something spiritual, we have to use spiritual resources to counter that. We have to use spiritual resources, guys, to counter that. So what are the spiritual resources? Some of these things are going to be obvious, and maybe some of these things may not seem obvious. But yes, prayer is one of them. Prayer is definitely one of them. That is an armor, basically, that you're putting around yourself. But what should you be praying for other than the obvious things of God, help me rebuild myself right now? Other than those type of things, what should you be praying for? You should be praying for more spiritual vision so that you can learn how to see through these people better. And yes, learning what a narcissist is, how they look, how they act, the love bomb phase and their typical cycles of abuse and whatnot, that's going to be very helpful. But yes, you're going to also be praying for more spiritual vision. Open my eyes, Lord, so that I can see the enemy's activities, right? So that I can see the enemy's strategies and their attacks. Okay? Open my eyes, Lord, to the deceptions, because this is what their strategy and their enemies, their strategies of the enemy, is wrapped up in deceptions. That's all the narcissist was doing. They were deceiving you over and over. Okay? They wanted you to believe the lies. And, because of this is a spiritual thing here, they're trying to appeal to your specific desires. The enemy knows they need to appeal to your specific desires. When I talk to survivors in coaching sessions, they're like, oh my gosh, I was so attracted to this person. The enemy knew what the person needed to look like to get you all googly-eyed. And that's why we need more spiritual vision. Because guess what? We weren't using as much when we got googly-eyed. Spiritual vision, okay? That started to fall down to the wayside because our flesh was taking over. But it says it over and over in the Bible that we're not fighting a war against the flesh. We're fighting wars against the spirit. And this is a prime example. Our interactions with the narcissist is a prime example of that. So that's another lesson to take out of this situation. And some people might say, you know what? My narcissist wasn't even that attractive. But the narcissist was giving you something else that your flesh wanted. Was it time? Was it attention? Was it flattery at first? It was something. But usually it's the looks as well. Because they could be physically attractive by the world's standard. Again, by the world's standard. Because the enemy knows, how can I get people in the world? By being of the world and being what the world likes. So they're going to get to your specific desires, okay? And they're going to hope that you are walking in your flesh more than you're walking in your spirit, if you're walking in your spirit at all. Some of us can get real with ourselves. We may not have been walking in our spirit as much as we thought. Even those of you who have met the narcissist in the church, because sometimes, we're going through this religious process, but our spirit is not really connected to God the way that it needed to be. Because I've spoken to people who met their narcissist in the church. Many of people who have done that. But they weren't really following God's words and stuff the way they were leading their lives outside of that building. Okay? So we have to be mindful of the flesh and our spirit. And what is louder in your life? And how can the enemy use that, knowing that? Okay? Because I want you to be able to safeguard yourself. So part of your spiritual resources is going to be asking for more spiritual vision. And of course, this is why you're getting more spiritual awareness, because getting the spiritual awareness is going to increase your spiritual vision if you allow it to, right? So what should you be aware of? Because a lot of times, I'm about to debunk something right now that people think. A lot of times the people think that the narcissist is only going to attack your weaknesses, or, that spiritual vampire, or the enemy is basically only going to attack your weakness. No, they can attack your strengths as well, and your influences. So what do I mean by that? All right, so your strengths, what are you good at? What are you excellent at that you don't have now, or that you suffered a loss in because of the narcissist? So yeah, I lost my career, or they tarnished my reputation in my career dealing with this narcissist. I've coached people, many people like that. They bought the narcissist into something that was their prized possession, because guess what? As that spiritual vampire, they want to latch on to something that's good. So they seen that goodness in you and they wanted a piece of it. So when your relationship went down with them, they want to destroy the things that were attached to you, and then still try to take your piece of identity with them. Or if they don't take it, they'll feel gratitude. They'll be happy to know that they were able to destroy that part of you. Okay? They want to take you down. Because if they can destroy your strength, they're making you weak like them. Because if they can't get you, they definitely don't want somebody else to get you. All right. And they want to feel like they've left you worse. Okay, well, I'm not with you, but look what I did to you. Look how I destroyed your life. Okay? So be careful. They can attack your strengths. Okay? And of course, your weaknesses. They will look for that. Oh, this person... this person is desperate for people. Oh, this person has issues with being by themselves. Oh, this person has low self-esteem. Okay, this person doesn't have much self-worth. I can exploit them for that by making myself seem so valuable. They'll be happy to just be getting attention from me, and they'll be putting me on the throne pretty soon. And I'll have them basically chopping, and when I say jump, how high, and okay, are you weak in your flesh? They'll exploit you there. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and tap into my Jezebel spirit and put it on this person. That's all I got to do. I'll get what I want out of them and manipulate them through the flesh. Yet again, your influences. What are influences? That can be the people in your inner circle, your children, your family and your friends, your influences. This could be, your career, co-workers. And the enemy can work through any of them as well, unfortunately. As a matter of fact, they know those are the best ways to get to a person, is to find someone close to them. And this is why you're seeing in all these romantic relationships, the narcissist is able to, come in and destroy and be destructive. All right, so we need our eyes open to the enemy's activities and their ways. And it's not just a weakness that they will attack. They will attack your strengths and your influences as well, guys. So, we just got to be careful. We got to be careful. And we got to make sure that we're giving adequate attention to the spiritual aspect of things. Because you spiritually suffered because of this interaction. I mean, of course, it doesn't have to stay that way. But they gain off of others' sufferings. That's how they lead their life. They gain off of others' sufferings. Okay? So the main thing that I need you to take away from this video is we have to fight spiritual with spiritual. I want you to take that from this video, because I don't want anyone else feeding off your light. All right? I want you to be able to overcome the spiritual vampires, okay? And to protect yourself moving forward. All right, so what are some of the things you can do in healing? So, of course, we talked about prayer. We talked about having more spiritual vision. We talked about tapping into spiritual resources. Okay, gaining more spiritual awareness. All right, but we have to begin to process, of course, what happened. Give ourselves permission to feel. Give ourselves permission to have made a mistake or a bad call. Give ourselves permission to heal. It's okay. Give ourselves permission to be human. Some of us are just way too hard on ourselves, and we're constantly beating ourselves up over the head. How could I have not seen? How could I? We do better when we know better, most of the time. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, but you have to lift your spirit back up. But you're not going to do it through worldly things. That's going to take a different approach, okay? Because the narcissists, they're hitting you in all types of ways, okay? But the spirit, we want to get that up. Because when the spirit is down, that's when depression, like I said earlier, and all that mental confusion and stuff. We need to lift up our spirits. Because as far as I can see, that is the number one thing that gets hurt and hit the hardest after this experience. So, if you've never been, quote unquote, the person that thought much about spirituality and such, and you've encountered narcissistic abuse, it's definitely time for you to revisit that area of your life and work towards a resolution, okay? Personally, I'll just go ahead and say my faith. I am a Christian. I do believe in Jesus Christ. I do believe in the Bible. And that's what I follow in my life. And that is what has blessed me and helped me and pulled me through. Like, oh my gosh. It has pulled me through. There's no way that I could ever doubt my faith after all the times that my God has revealed himself to me when I had no one else on this, no other human. And it was just him and I through situations, time and time and time again. Time and time and time again. And he could do the same for you too. In my religion, we say something called the sinner's prayer. And we accept him into our heart as our Lord and Savior. And it's really that simple. It's really that simple. So, my channel isn't about pushing anything on anybody. So please don't take it that way. But I just use myself. And I put this on my website. I draw for myself to bring others closer to themselves. That is basically my slogan and what I'm doing, especially on this channel, when I'm reflecting and progressing. That's why I named the channel Reflection and Progression, because I'm reflecting on my life and my experiences and what I'm observing and what I'm seeing. And I'm using that to progress in life, to learn from, to raise consciousness. Okay, guys, so I hope that this video is helping someone, that may be feeling spiritually weak right now. It could possibly be because you're not dealing with that aspect of yourself, or perhaps you are using worldly ways of trying to deal with that, and it's not going to help your spirit. It may help other aspects that the narcissist has bruised in your life or devastated. But, internal work is going to take internal resources. Okay? Internal. And those are typically the things that we can't see and touch. We can feel it. Okay, guys, so if this video resonates with you, you can go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please feel free to do so. Make sure that you're hitting the bell, guys, so that you get notified when I upload a video, which I do quite frequently. If you've already subscribed, make sure that you hit the bell so that you're notified as well. Feel free to leave a comment, to like and share the videos. Share any and all of them, guys. We got to get the information out there. So many people really don't know what a narcissist is, like truly understand this. And these people are on the rise. These people are on the rise. If you are listening to this video and you have children, begin now to tell them about this. Don't let them get surprised by this later in life. You don't have to keep that to yourself. And especially you single moms out there that was with a narcissist and they seen that relationship go down. Okay, they seen it. Explain it to them. You know, it didn't work out with this person because they were this. And I never want you to have to experience that. So I'm going to tell you about this toxic person. And there are many other people in the world like this. We have to start educating people and spreading awareness. And spreading awareness. It's important. It's important because when we don't take care of our spirit, like I said, we fall prey to depression. And what can depression lead to on the worst end of the spectrum? Suicide. We have a person that's walking around hopeless and suicidal. And as we fall deeper and deeper into depression, guess what? God's voice becomes smaller and smaller. It becomes smaller and smaller, guys. And that's what I believe really happens when people really slip into that deep depression. They're so far away from God's voice that they can't hear it. They can't hear it. They have that tunnel vision and they can't hear it because they got so deep into it. So that's why it's important to try to get someone before they get into that realm. It's not impossible to come out of it, of course, but it takes even more work, okay? All right, guys, I'm going to stop the video here and just, stay prayerful. Keep the armor on. Keep the armor on. Keep it on. Look, there are days when I do hours of prayer and I need it and I feel better when I do it. But there are some days when you just might need more. It's okay. Just surround yourself with it. YouTube is full of channels with people that would just pray with you even. Just Google that or YouTube search it. It's in there. It's in there. There's so many resources. Prayers, people have 2-hour-long prayers in here I've seen. Like, people are really putting stuff out there. And that's wonderful. They have prayers for certain afflictions. Because the narcissist, they've afflicted you in so many ways. So you could even find that if you feel like you had that soul tie or you had sexual devastations from the narcissist. They have prayers for that. I've seen prayers on YouTube just for rape survivors and stuff, to help praying to their spirit and everything. So this is the kind of work that you really have to be doing. And making sure that you're giving adequate time and energy to, because that's what got hit the most. Whether you realize it or not, if you think about it, you'll agree with me, it was your spirit that got hit the worst and the hardest in this whole situation. Okay, guys? So until next time, please take care.